everybody put their contacts in the database or started to? Started to? Okay. Do you know that this is also a database? Right here. I decided that this was too overwhelming for me when I first got started to import everything, and I just kind of like had a little breakdown. I was like, this is going to take me hours to do, right? Anybody else think that too? That, okay, it's going to take me forever. Well, what I decided was I needed to chunk it down, and I said, I'm going to import 10 people a week into the database, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, I want all of the information to be in there. I want the phone number, I want the email address, the address, the birthday, everything. So if I don't have that, it's not going in. And that was just another reason for me to contact that person, right? Hey, I want to know what your birthday is so I can send you a happy birthday card with a lottery ticket in it. $1 lottery ticket. Are they going to remember that? Absolutely. So this is something that you don't have to be overwhelmed about, putting all of your contacts in the database at one time. This is a database, and you go through this, and you have a contact, list of people that you can scroll through any given time, and your 10 contacts a day. It could be a text message, it could be a voice-to-voice call, it could be an email, it could be a Facebook Messenger. What were you going to say?
I was saying, Scott Leroy, the marketing or the technology guy, is great. He'll help you input all of your contacts. Like
That's
I
great.
Online on a PDF or whatever, and he just said send it to me, and that he did it.
He put it for you. That's awesome. So if you guys haven't done that, that's awesome. Do that. Yeah, he's a really good resource. I appreciate that we have him. So one of the things that I did is that I went to a coffee shop, got myself out of the house, and made sure that I was in uniform, right? If you don't have one of these, you need to get one, because I have sold houses because of this. Somebody would come up to me in CVS, I'm buying tissues, and I'm sick, and they're like, I need to buy a house, and I bought them a house, and they referred me to other people that have already closed. So this name tag is really an important tool. Make sure that you are in uniform when you are out in front of people, because this is a really important tool.
How do we get one of those?
That's frustrating.
Yeah, there's
I went on it yesterday for the first time.
Yeah, there's tons of different websites. If you don't want the bedazzled one, like you see a lot of other people, there's some other ones for the guys. Okay.
I already get enough of that for the face. So.
In your book,
Yeah.
in your
So
book, on the back of this page, here's like your sign vendors, your business card vendors. Though I'll use this to print. Name badges, home staging, things like that. But if you go to their websites, I didn't call them. Just type that in Google.
Yep.
You probably want nice badge. They already have the Keller Williams one
Logos.
set up. Same with the signs, build a sign, and you can call them and have them add. Like I have a logo instead of I'm not going to use my headshot.
Right.
My own logo.
Right.
And so they'll add that with the Keller Williams, and they know all the dimensions.
Yep.
Because Keller Williams is very particular. They have all the colors and what size they need to be, and same with the name badges.
Yeah, because you don't want to get a different red, right? Your branding is really important.
Absolutely.
They have the logo colors. They have all that stuff. It's super easy. I think I got 5 for $20 when I ordered them online.
They're like $20 a piece. That employee badge.
Yeah.
So who did you go through?
I went through. I'll have to look through my email, but I want to say Nice Badge maybe.
Nice badge?
Yeah, I'll look at it and see. But I think there's a couple different kinds. I think there's like $12 for the ones that are a little bit more fancy. But I got ones that were black background, white background, and it has just my name, the Keller Williams logo, and realtor. Which, if you're with Keller Williams, you're a realtor, right? You're not just an agent. Because with our company, we have to have that code of ethics. So yeah, make sure to get your name tags, because that's something that has bought me, or made a lot of money for me. That's $15,000 right there that made me already this year just wearing this. If you are a full broker, you can put that on there. I'm not a full broker yet. I have one more class to go, so I kind of spread that out a little bit. Any questions about the name tags? No? If you want more information about different companies to go to, we'll be happy to email that out. I'll have Kayla. Yeah.
Do you, when you send out your birthday cards, do you use Keller Williams marketed postcards, note cards, or do you use your own little hallmark, something cute?
I again,
Are you sticking with branding, or are you sticking with more
I
personal
want
touch?
personal touch.
Okay.
And I'll show you a little bit of what I use. Again, I had to go cheap because I couldn't afford a lot. So I started out with the dollar section at Target and just got cute little cards that
And you
say
put
hello.
your card in there?
I put my card in there, and I do the magnet card because I want them to see me every day when they open their fridge.
Right.
But then
So-
you have to buy envelopes for those.
No, they come with it.
Oh,
10 for $1 at Target.
Okay.
These are the like little thanks a million. I mean, it depends on the person.
You said those are from Target? Cartersville, Target?
Like
Your
just the little.
magnets you got from.
Okay, so at Staples, you're actually just going to get the actual magnet part, and you put your business card right on it. It's you just peel off the adhesive and put it right on there. So I think I got like 100 magnets for like under $5, and I just work 100 at a time, and I hand out all of my my new buyer consults. They have my magnet in there, because who holds onto a business card anymore? It's in the bottom of your purse. You do? Okay, congratulations. You're my first
And you
one.
just put it in the
I
can
have
card,
a
put it in your
stack
can
of
card.
business cards at my house. That's,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are certain people that do that.
so I will-
I personally, I have, you change purses. You're like, what's that person's number? Even like vendors. I have a hard time keeping in touch with people that are vendors that, obviously they don't call me back either. But I have one thing I'm working on right now is making sure that I'm calling my vendor list to partner with them for business, because my buyers are going to need an HVAC specialist, a pest control guy. They're going to need flooring if they want to upgrade their home and say, okay, we bought this house and there was, the old carpet. We need to upgrade. We want to do all hardwood floors. Well, I need to be their contact person. I need them to contact me and say, who do I call that you trust? That you've worked with, that have done great business. So that's a whole other part of your database. You're going to categorize those vendors, and you're going to ask them for business. And we've got scripts for that. You're going to introduce yourself as the local real estate expert, and your buyers are needing to know who to call for these pieces of information that they need. So I call my insurance guy, and I actually just decided to switch to Matt Young. If you guys know him, he's awesome with Geico. And he is my go-to guy that if they have insurance questions, they know who to call. But they had such a great experience with me. They trust me in the real estate side of things for their family. So they're going to know anything dealing with their home that they need. They're going to call me first and ask, and I want to be that person. So that's just another reason for them to reach out to me. And so these cards go a long way, because you can actually, ask them what they're doing. How's their new house? Do they love it? What do you want to change about it? How can I help you in that? Who do you need contact information from? So those 10 notes a week can be something that is just as easy as that. It doesn't have to be a certain occasion like a holiday or a birthday. But I kind of, I get these at Target, but I also found really good ones at Hobby Lobby that have like 50 of them that are blank on the inside that I can kind of customize whatever I want to say. So have you all at least activated your e-edge, started your profile? No? Most of you, yes? Okay, do you need help with figuring out how to start that? Or
My number from the commission came in today, so I wasn't allowed to
So
until literally this morning.
Okay, so you're going to be able to activate all that with now that you have
Kelly's
that
coming
number.
in after the class.
Awesome.
to get me started.
Awesome. Okay, so you'll be just kind of keep some of this in your brain so you'll know how to go about it when you have your. Have you started your app? Have you shared your app? Anybody have any good experiences with that?
I shared my app 6 times, 7 times.
Tell me about that. What's the response been?
Good. I only had one that didn't work. It asked for a code, actually, to my dad. He said
Okay.
it asked for a code, but but it's worked every other time.
Okay. What's the best part about that for you, sharing the app?
For me, sharing the app.
Because what do you get from the client? Their contact information.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you hand somebody your business card, is it always like really hard to ask for their information in return, right? So actually, Gary Keller doesn't give out business cards. He didn't ever do that because he wanted to get their information. So he started, once we got the app, he started implementing just asking for their information so that he could share the app.
I just asked him, I'm like, oh my goodness, are you on Instagram or Facebook? And they're like, oh yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh great, here, I'll add you.
Yeah.
And I just immediately go ahead and add them.
Right.
Because then you've got everything you need.
That's
it's right
awesome.
there on Facebook. You don't need to ask them for anything.
That's
You
awesome.
go in later, you write it down, you put it in your database that you met them, how you met them, blah, 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 on Facebook. And then I follow up with a message that says, you know, so great meeting you today, blah, 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 whatever. So.
And how easy was that to be one of your 10, right?
And then you don't have to pay for business cards.
Right.
Do we have QR codes that we can use to scan? So I would just put it on the back of my business card.
Yeah, it's on mine.
Because that's one of the things that, like, especially for referral business, like if you give a buddy of yours who doesn't live in state a ton of your cards,
Yep.
just tell him, be like, hey, do me a favor, give these to people, queue them up, tell them
It's on the back of my
to
side too.
just scan
So how do you
it.
get the QR code? That's for your app. So then
It's gonna
I
be
can
in-
scan that and it'll download the app.
It'll automatically download the
You
app.
can put it on your business card.
Yeah.
I tend to put it on the back of mine.
Yep.
Doesn't work out great when I do the magnet, but I put it on my signs too. So a lot of people are able to, when they're just driving by, they just scan it on their phone and they go right to my website. How cool is that? You know, it's really cool because that sign that's in your seller's yard is a billboard, and I usually get anywhere between 2 and 3 buyers off that sign to help them find another house. So, go ahead.
Has anybody had a problem sharing their app? I have an Android phone.
Okay.
My daughters, when I shared it with them so they could share it with their other family and friends, they have iPhones, and when they go to download it, none of my personal information is there. It's like just a general app.
It does have, and it'll go to the Greensboro one.
It doesn't have my
So they
information, so
contact
they're not
the
even
Greensboro.
downloading it because it's sending them
Right.
to the Apple App Store, which has
Okay.
the general. So how do we fix that?
I would
People
say that's a
have Apple.
Scott Lavoy.
Okay.
I would definitely be on the top of your list.
Yeah, mine used to do that. Delete the app from your phone,
Uh-huh.
and then go back and refollow the steps that are in the red book.
Yeah.
Refollow the steps and do it again, and it should work. I had to delete it. Mine was
Okay.
the same way.
Okay.
And when it's the general one, just so you guys know, if it's general and doesn't have your branding, it'll send them to the Greensboro Keller Williams.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not
So
what
it's
you want.
really, really important to have everything set up in eEdge appropriately because that's going to all integrate with everything that Keller Williams has. Their app, on your website even, when you have your featured listings, like once you start getting some listings, you're going to have them on there. You want to make sure that all your technology is really working right, and that's why we have Scott Leroy. And even sometimes Keith, if you've met Keith Bandy, he's in the office. He helps us a lot with our Playster site. So if you have questions and Scott is not available, make sure to ask Kelly or Keith as well. So one thing I want you to do, if you haven't already gotten some note cards, make sure to get note cards this week and start implementing that. I've already gotten my Christmas cards, and I'm starting to do that. 10 cards a week. A lot of people, and I'm doing 10 Christmas cards a week because I like to do the handwritten ones. I want to make sure that it's a little bit more personal. Some people, like I don't have any kids, so I don't, like the whole like Christmas card photo thing is really like, I don't think people want to just see me and my dog or my husband or, you know. So if you have that and that's an awesome thing, do that. And I mean, it does cost a little bit of money to, you know, get that going. But if you want to do that, that's a really good thing. They're going to remember you. Probably put it on their fridge of all the Christmas cards they get, right? So especially the photo ones. So if you have that and want to do that, do that. But start planning your Christmas marketing now. Really could have been in September, but you guys are starting, you know, now. So go ahead and get that going. Plan out what you're going to do for your clients or for you people that want to be your client, or you want to be your client. So have you guys visited the daily 10-4 in our e-edge system? Who has done that? You have? Okay. What do you think of it so far?
I mean, it's very self-explanatory.
Right. Do you like the tracker? Is it something that you feel like you'll be able to use easily, or?
I think I can use it easily. It's just a matter of time blocking it to make sure that you're doing it.
This is something that was hard for me because I'm a pen and paper kind of gal, and I have everything. I love certain technology for certain things, like my Google Calendar, awesome. I love doing a lot of the technology stuff, social media, that kind of thing. But for my tracker, this was a little bit hard for me to implement, but when I started doing it and committing to it, it's really helped me to be able to see where I'm lacking. So this, you can go into that, you see the MyKW tracker. So when you go into your Keller Williams MyKW at kw.com, this is going to be something that you can go into and track, okay, I made 4 calls today, or I did 10 notes, or I had this many connections, or previewed homes. Who started previewing homes? Yeah? How have you thought about that?
Went out to 2 open houses actually this past weekend.
Good.
It was interesting.
Yeah?
Because a lot of what you see, and like I also noticed this when I bought my own house, what you see on the internet is not what the house is like ever.
Always get a good photographer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of misleading, and I knew that before, but with one of the houses in particular, it was super misleading.
Right.
Because it just seemed like there was all this big open space, and then I got there, and every room was tiny, and you had to maze your way through it.
Right.
And I was like, this is a literal nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would get lost in my own house every day.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems.
So you're seeing it as a buyer, right?
Yeah, and then immediately after we left the house, me and my girlfriend were in the car, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I'd sell that house. And then I thought about it for a while, and like who I'd market it to and stuff like that, because it seemed terrible for a family.
Okay.
Because it was a fairly large house. It was about a little under 3,000 square feet, but the layout made no sense. It was over a creek. Like there was literally half of it on one bank, half on the other, and like a bridge living room over a creek.
Wow.
And so it was a dope house. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it made zero sense because it was just wide open, and then tight.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back wing of the house, it was just these like bookshelves everywhere, carpet on the floor everywhere, with wood leading into it.
Right.
And then just nowhere to go, and then rooms that seemed like they had no purpose.
Okay.
And I was just like, who would you market this to? A single person doesn't need this much space.
Mm-hmm.
Like a married couple, if they had enough room to buy a 3,000 square foot house, they'd want bigger rooms and less rooms.
Right.
Like who the hell would buy this?
Right.
So
how did you feel about the price? Then now seeing the house and seeing, oh, this is going to be a tough sell.
Architecturally, it made sense because it's beautiful views. It's very unique. It was very interesting. It had its own massive lot, but it was on 2 one-way roads, which was also they wanted about $350 for it.
Wow.
And it seemed to me that it's a little steep for something that has so many quirky things about it that are really hard to push beyond.
Okay.
For a lot of people.
So, what I'm hearing is that you're already starting to think about the marketing side of things. And what I would suggest to you is to really start banking those ideas that you're having, and because that's a really good thing, actually, because when you start seeing these homes and you're previewing these homes, by the way, make sure that when you're previewing homes, if you don't have a buyer with you, make sure that the ML or the showing time knows that is the agent preview, because that seller is going to get so excited that somebody's coming to see their house. They're going to take the dogs, they're going to take the kids, they're going to clean everything up, spend hours getting their home ready for you, and it's an agent preview. And they're going to get really upset when you have no feedback for them because you don't have a buyer. So make sure that they know that when you call in for that appointment, that it is an agent preview. It's really important for us to just kind of be transparent with that. Yes, you are working with buyers though, right? Unless you're strictly a listing agent, anybody just doing listings. Okay, so you're thinking about these homes. What is going to happen when you see 10 homes a week and then you all of a sudden have a buyer that says, I need to buy a home in the next month? Are you going to know a little bit about our market because you've been out there looking? Absolutely. So it's really important that you do preview 10 homes a week, whether it's going to new construction, finding out some of the builders in our area. Sugar always has some homes available. Eastwood is really big in this area. Schumacher Homes. Start going to some of those that you don't even have to make appointments for because they have a open house or a show house, like a model home, spec homes that you can also, because guess what, if their clients or buyers are coming to them and they say, you know what, this is not really in my price point. Thanks so much for showing this to me, Schubert, but this is really out of my price point. What could they then do if they have a relationship with you as an agent? They can refer business to you, right? They can say, hey, I know that you are looking for this specific price point. Deborah's a really awesome agent. Let me give you her contact information. And then what do you have? You have a core advocate that is advocating on your behalf because you are going out specifically looking for buyers for them too. You're helping each other. That's what I did a lot in the beginning. Is I went to a lot of the builders in the area, developed a relationship with them, that I'm actively looking for buyers to sell that house that they've built. And then they have a stack of my business cards that they give out, you know, if they have a buyer that's looking at a certain price point and does not fit their needs. So that's a really good idea too when you're previewing homes. Any questions about the tracker? Any problems? No? Elizabeth, what's going on?
I'm still getting set up.
Okay.
I just got access yesterday.
Because you're talking about EH control panel, the control panel at the top that you go into, correct?
Like the dashboard? When you go into the dashboard, there'll also be education or I think it might be under education. Education. Yeah, you go under education at the top. So, and then there's the My Tracker. And then on a daily basis, you can go in there and you're going to do this every day.
That's what I'm like. If I'm getting phone calls left and right, putting out marketing stuff, doing all that.
Like I said, I am a pen and paper type of girl. I do a lot of my tracking. I absolutely do. I track every day. Yes. It's not always on this form. You have to do what works for you. I started out doing this and I really liked it at first, but then I would forget to do it because I like having everything all in one place. So just do what works for you. I mean, Keller Williams has it here for us because there's a lot of us that will use this every day, right? Everybody's different. So do try what works for you. I happen to like doing it where I can see it because if there's something to be said about highlighting or checking something off for me that like does something for me, makes me happy. So I feel accomplished when I do that. Some people really like doing it this way, and digitally is great. The tool is there if you like that. So try it out. See what you think. So we're creating a habit, right? How long does it take to create a habit?
66 days.
66 days. And 66 days is not as long as Ignite is going to be. We're going to be only here for 30, right? So you're going to have to really start implementing this now because how you perform in here is how you're going to perform out there. Participate in here. Talk to me. Tell me what you need. Tell me what your limiting beliefs are, your struggles. This is all a safe place. I mean, we're all starting our business. We're all either have done sales before or have not. This is something we want you to start making money as fast as possible. So the more you participate in here, the better you're going to do out there. So we've gone over this, and you're going to hear this time after time again, 10-4. 10 new contacts. Keyword is new. So try to meet new people, get yourself out there. I started just like going to places that I felt like I wanted to be. Like, let's just say, like, even I heard something the other day that I thought was a great idea. So, you know, everybody has that specific gas station that they go to because it's clean, right? You can count on the bathrooms being clean. You can count on, like, there being your drink is there. You know that if you go in there, your drink is going to be there. Everybody has their place that they go to, whether it's a coffee shop or whatever. So go in there, get whatever you're going to get, whether it's your morning latte or a Monster or whatever you get, and thank that person when you buy it for them having a great establishment that you enjoy going to. Is that a new contact? Yes. Do your daily routine, what you like to do, and then make sure that you're thanking those people. You're always coming from contribution, because what does that do? If your gratitude is the highest level of energy, it gets your energy up. People want to work with someone that has high energy. But we also mirror and match. If there's people that are shy, we kind of tend to hold back a little bit too, just so because you don't want to be overwhelming to that person. So you kind of mirror and match their tonality, their body language, that kind of thing. So anything that before we leave this screen, anything you want to go over?
I have a question.
About previewing?
Previewing.
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, you just mentioned about going to your gas station or wherever.
Yeah.
You count it as a contact, but again, you're not just going right for it and say, hey, I enjoy your establishment, but let me get your name and number. How are you? I mean, you've been in there already.
Okay,
so,
that's a great question. So we're going to learn a script that we're going to use in those certain circumstances. When you meet people, I told you I'd give you a break at 10, so we're going to end on that note. When you meet that person, if there's a long line behind you, it might be something that you kind of have to come back to, but hand your business card out. Usually at those places, don't they have a name tag, right? So you can at least put their name in your, or introduce yourself if they don't have a name tag and say, hey, what's your name? Thanks so much for taking care of me every week when I come in or whatever. Put their name down on a little notebook. We should all be carrying around a little notebook. If you're not, make sure you do, because those names are going to come at you fast once you start getting in the 10-4, and you're going to want to follow up with these people. So put Alex, Starbucks. So next time maybe I can say, I'm building this relationship with this person. Hey, can I give you my app? You might know somebody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Would you mind just forwarding this? That way you can see what's on the market. And then if you talk to somebody this week that might be looking to buy or sell, you can forward this app. It's a free app. So that way you'll get their contact information by asking them to get that app. So it might not be the first time you meet that person, but you'll at least have their name and where they're working, so you can follow back up with them next week. Makes sense? Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll start back at 10:12. Turn to page 9 in your materials. Okay, so who has people that they could call right now in their phone or in their database, a list of people that they could call? You do? Anybody have? Okay. So would it be okay if we made you some money today, like in the next 20 minutes? Would that be all right for everybody? Okay. So how are you going to make money? Is through the contacts, right? So you're gonna contact people and you're gonna ask for business, but you're going to do it in a way that is proven to work. And when we talk about scripts, a lot of people cringe and they say, "Oh my gosh, that's not me. I can't do that." That was me 2 years ago. I did not want. I went into this kicking and screaming, not wanting to do the scripts. But when I tell you that they are words that turn into cash, I'm absolutely telling you the truth. Because I wouldn't have been able to do the business that I've done without these scripts. because you kind of stumble on your words, right? You kind of like, you don't know what people are going to say next. So you kind of like, it's a different verbiage for each person that you talk to. But if you have these scripts that you've practiced, you'll be so shocked that you'll come out of a conversation and say, how did I pull that off? How did I just get that listing? It was because of some things that you're going to learn to say. And these objections, that we're going to go over. So not all of these scripts are going to be something that you'll absolutely love and embrace. But you can choose. What I would recommend is to choose one or two that you can master and work on that and work from there. And then if you want to, if those aren't working for you, then choose another one that is going to work for you. A lot of things that we hear all the time is, oh, it's going to be like I'm a robot. They're going to know I'm hearing, or I'm talking from a script, right? Is that something that you're thinking right now? Okay. So that's absolutely something that I thought too. But if you're not going to ask them for business, someone else will. Treat your business as it is a business. Run it as a business, not as you're like a little Boy Scout or Girl Scout, selling cookies or popcorn, right? Like, this is not that type of business. This is the biggest decision that they're going to make. One of the biggest investments is going to be buying or selling a home. And you want them to be well taken care of. And you don't want, in a weak moment, for them to end up with a weak agent, right? You care about them financially, and you care about them and their investment enough to take great care of them. So come from that place where you're like not intimidated by them, but you're actually coming from contribution. You want to help them because you don't want them to end up losing money, right? Because either a buyer or a seller, if they're buying, they could end up paying too much for a property, right? If they don't have the right agent. I have a friend that before I got into real estate, she told me, she was like, gosh, I wish I would have had you as an agent, because our agent told us to not even do an inspection on a property. Bad advice, right? There are really bad realtors out there, and we are the good ones. We're the ones that are going to be trained. We're the ones that are out there going to advocate for them, lobby on their behalf, make sure that they're not buying a property for too much money. And then on the list side, let's say this person paid $250,000 10 years ago for their home. And an agent's going to come in here and say, I want to list your house. And they're going to wait for the buyers to come to them and to proactively prospect for buyers for their house. And because it's been on the market 3 months and they've had maybe 4 or 5 showings, that seller is going to get frustrated and say, okay, well, we'll take that offer, even though I think my property's worth more. We'll take that offer. I'm tired of having it listed. I'm tired of getting the house ready. So they lost money because you weren't involved and you weren't their agent, right? So you're going to want to be that agent that calls them and say, I care about you enough to make sure that you work with me and that you're not going to lose money. So when you make these calls, whether it's a buyer or a seller, or people that you're asking for referral business, make sure you're coming from that place that you are wanting to help them, because it's gonna come across to them and they're gonna remember that. Okay. So has anybody looked at the scripts at all? Has anybody done any of the scripts? Okay. What script did you guys go over on Monday? New in real estate. Has anybody had any success with that, or any appointments gotten, or anything like that?
I'll call my friend up, but I didn't go by the script with it. I mean, I just kind of added the app on there. But
okay.
It's my friend, so it's very, casual.
Casual. Sure.
So I hope to be meeting with him this week to discuss him buying a house. So.
Awesome. That's great. So what are the problems that you see with the script, if you have any? Any kind of... It's long? Okay, I hear that a lot. What were you gonna say something?
One of the things, I've done things like this in the past. One of the most important things I've found when it comes to scripts is it's not about the words themselves, it's about the information behind the words.
Right.
So if you're calling people especially people who know you, and some of the words are not words you would normally use, right? Then one of the things that is very, very critical critical in this is making sure you get all the information that's inside the script, but
Sure.
say it in a way that you would say it.
Right.
Like, if I call one of my friends that, like, I grew up in a very punk community.
Mm-hmm.
If I call one of my friends and go over this script, they're going to laugh in my face. So
Right.
I'm going to say, hey, dude, what's up?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
Still be yourself, right?
be yourself, like, because one of the biggest things is if you're not being yourself, everyone can tell.
Right, absolutely. I would totally agree with that. I would also make sure that you have some sort of structure. What is the purpose of the call?
To get their business.
To get their business, right? So if you call and you kind of say, hey, I'm just going to see how it goes. I'm going to just like casually talk to them, and then you forget about the purpose of the call. Can it potentially be a distraction and a waste of your time? Absolutely. So make sure that you're purposeful with who you call and that you're actually calling for business purposes. You're wanting to still build this relationship as someone that you know, that you want to say, hey, let's grab coffee sometime soon, or that's still an appointment, right? Are you catching up with that friend? Yeah, but you're also going to talk about business over coffee. The more people that you call and get appointments for, the more business you're going to generate. Because if you call that person and it might be a great phone call that you're catching up with them, but the purpose of the phone call is to get the appointment. So stay, even though it's a long script, you can shorten it to be to your taste and to your style. But also remember that it's also an opportunity to get an appointment with that person. So you might not realize that person might have a need for real estate. They might have, their sister is looking, or their mom is needing to downsize. You don't know until you talk to that person, and a 10-minute phone call not always gets to that point. So getting the appointment is important, because then over that 30-minute appointment, hour appointment, you might get to that point, right? So any questions or anything about who to call? Yes.
One thing that, like I say, it's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone, and that's with Callaway, it's an actual.
Sure.
And this is numerous years. But, I said I was struggling a little bit. The first thing he asked me, he says, what's your voicemail say?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew exactly where he was headed.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything.
Right.
He didn't say who I was, what I did.
Yeah.
And I went through and wrote a script, and it probably took me 30 minutes to get 3 sentences that I wanted to get my point across and not come across pushy. And,
Right.
So that was a warm-up almost.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
the script.
So I love that you said that, because that's, we kind of, our identity is now going to be, we are this business owner, right? So we always need to be portraying, what we put out there is what we're going to get. So if you don't put it out there that you're a real estate agent, or that you're an expert in this industry, that you're not going to end up getting the business back. Don't be afraid to put it out there. And on your voicemail is a great way to do it.
If you have several businesses that you're involved with, do you recommend trying to get a secondary number? Because I have different, if I do one voicemail, it's going to include 3 or 4 different.
Yes.
I have 3, and I just I put them on there.
Okay. So you can do that, or I've had a lot of people have success with just having a Google Voice number for their real estate, and they can put that on their signs too, which is awesome, because if somebody calls you late, it's just going to go to that. And, a lot of times we get signs off, or calls off the sign that are not great leads. So you always want to know, it's always good too, when you get that Google Voice number coming up, you're like, okay, this is business. I know how to answer, So I would agree with you that you can either, put it on there, that all of your businesses, or you can decide what, if you want to do a Google Voice or not. So has anybody had any success with using a script, even in past careers? No? Anybody have any kind of experience at all with scripts? Or yeah, okay. So let me ask you this: Do you want fries with that? Is that a script? 100%. So are successful businesses using scripts on us every single day and we have no idea that they're doing it?
Yes.
Okay. So try to let that sink in and marinate a little minute before we call, because people do this to us every single day. Are we mad that they asked us that if we want fries with that? No. So why are we thinking that they're going to be mad at us for calling and using a script? Or they're going to be offended, or they're going to know we're using a script? No, they're not. Not all the time. Maybe with your closest friends, they'll say, okay, this call's a little different, you know, but that's why a lot of times this is, the scripts start off by saying, hi, I'm Emily with Keller Williams. This is a business call. Do you have a minute? So you're not going to call your best friend and say that, right? But you're going to call certain groups of people and say that. So just know that scripts are something that we experience every day. We might just not realize it. You know, so don't be, you know, worried about using a script. So one of my favorite scripts that I use is just very short and simple. I chose to not start with the longer ones because I was very intimidated by that. I called my database, and, you know, we always, how many are we supposed to have in there to start out, right? How many? Anybody? 200? 200 is the goal by the end of Ignite, is to have 200 names in there. You might have more than that. Brandy knows a lot of people. Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah, she has a lot of experience in businesses and things like that. So there's going to be more.
Sorry. Some are legit.
Right. But there are people that are not going to have, that are going to struggle to get 100. So just know that everybody's going to be in different places, and it's okay to not have 200 yet. My total amount is 219 that I have in my database. So I'm working on that. But it's something that I have like exhausted every single one of them. But it's not in a bad way. It's just because I know that if I work the database the way it's supposed to, then it's going to end up being very profitable. So have you guys seen the 12-2 rule? Everybody see this? Did they go over this last time? Okay, so you might want to write this down. The 12-2 rule is for every 12 people in your database, you're going to get 2 referrals, two closings out of it. Let's just say that. Can you see it, Will? Is that hard to see?
No.
So that means that if you have 200 people in your database, every 12 of them is going to give you 2. So that's 34 deals a year off of 200 people. 34 closings. You know how much that's going to profit you? Is an average sales price in our market is about $4,500. So some of you might have your average sales price be a little bit lower. Mine's actually lower than that. Mine's at $130,000 because personally, I think low-hanging fruit is still fruit, and I work with everybody. You'll find certain realtors that won't get out of bed in the morning for more than or less than a certain amount. So just I personally think that that's kind of not a good tactic, because the people that I've sold $65,000 condos to have referred me more business than the people that I've sold $5 million or $500,000 to. That's just my personal opinion. I've made the same amount of money. So $4,500 is our average commission in our market, based off of a $150,000 sales price at a 3% commission. So 34 deals at $4,500 is $150,000 in a year that you would make off of 200 contacts. It's powerful, right? To think about that. So I have 219 in my database, and I'm at right now for the calendar year 102, 199 that I've made. So this works. I'm living proof that it works because I haven't bought any leads, and I work off of my database. So 27 closings so far this year. My goal was 38. Don't get me started on that. But you know what? I made a huge goal. 100,000 was a huge goal, so I'm choosing to do that and celebrate that. The script that I use. Oh, go ahead.
So when you're making these calls and you have your database, how are you keeping track of who you called that day? Where are you putting that contact management information? Like if I call Kim today and Mark and all that, how do I remember in 2 weeks from now, oh wait, did I call that person?
Right.
What did they say? How are you?
So I don't know if you played around with eEdge much at all, but there's task managers in there. And once you have your database or your names in your contacts in the database, in the eEdge, you can actually, after you call that person, you can put in the notes, hey, I talked to Bill, he's not looking for another 3 months, call him in 2 weeks, and you put it the task manager, and it tells you, you can actually set up a reminder to call Bill in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it actually emails you that third week in that morning and says, call Bill. So the tools in here are really amazing if you utilize them. So I personally probably have not done it to the extent that I should, and that's something I'm working on this year going into 2018 is using those task reminders. I do a lot on pen and paper, and I do because I'm visual. I'm very visual. If I don't log in, I can't see it, right? So if you're a visual person, you might want to do something that is more of like I do a lot of whiteboards, and I have pipelines of things going on, and I know I look on a daily basis on my whiteboards, who should I call? And so if I've talked to that person that's a new person today out of one of my 10 contacts, then I'll put them on this list of call in 2 weeks. But there is that system in there that will email you that says, you talked to Bill 2 weeks ago, it's time to talk to him again about whatever you need. So you can put those notes in there to customize it to that person, and you can actually get email reminders. Any questions about that? No? Okay, so you want to know the script I used? When I called my database was, who do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate that I should call today? That's it. And I closed 27 houses off of that script this last year. And then they say, I really can't think of anyone. Well, thank you so much for thinking about that. Would you consider referring me when you do think of someone? What do they say usually? Yes. How long did that take? Less than a minute. And I'm on to the next call. Sometimes you'll get some chatty Cathys that want to hey, let's catch up. Thank you so much for saying that. I've been wanting to catch up with you too, but I'm heading into an appointment in the next 5 minutes. Are you free on Tuesday at 4? What do you have then? An appointment. What was the purpose of the call? To get an appointment. So don't think that this is hard. It's not hard. It's not. That's a limiting belief, because you can actually call these people. If it's somebody that you're really familiar calling, just ask them for business. You can use that script. It doesn't have to be. It can be more casual. A lot of times I'll talk to someone and say, "Hey, how are you doing? I saw on Facebook that so and so got married. How was the wedding?" And then I go into that script, and then I say, well, hey, the reason why I'm calling today is I have sold all my listings. I don't have any more listings. If I don't have any listings, you can use something else. You say, I really need some more inventory. Do you know anybody that's considering selling their house? Is that a portion of that script that I just used? Yeah. So if you practice it and use it to where it's going to fit you, then that's going to be the most important way and most effective way to get business. If you don't have any listings that you can say something different, that interest rates are still really low. I really want to help buyers get into a home before the holidays or before interest rates go up. Has anybody told you that they're looking to buy? Would you consider referring me if you do hear of anybody from church or work? And when we say church or work, if you know that person doesn't have faith or whatever, it doesn't go to church, then that's fine. You don't have to say that. But the reason why we compartmentalize that is because they then immediately go to church or work. Who do I know? instead of just like this broad, like, gosh, I really can't think of anybody. But if you put those two things of, from, your kid's soccer team or from work or from, just whatever that person might be into that you know. So just, we're going to take 20 minutes and call as many people as possible. If you do not want to call, you still have to call. It's not an option. So I want you to try to pick at least 10 people, because there's going to be people that it's the middle of the workday, they might not pick up. So I want you to pick 10 people from your phone or from your database, if you've already got that set up, that you can call. If you know that person is their preferred method of communication is either email, Facebook, or text, feel free to text that script to them. In fact, I would challenge you to open up your notepad in your phone, write that script down, and send it a blast email or a blast text, however way you want to send it, and see how many responses you get back. I think you'll be shocked. Okay, 20 minutes. So it is 10:36. We'll be back right almost at 11 o'clock.
And will you help me with the script?
Yeah.
That you were just
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I'm trying to arrange for him to get some transportation or whatever. So if you see if there's the text in this one.
Don't worry. I haven't even noticed.
Okay.
Alright, so we're asking for
What's up, dude? How you doing? Yeah, I always say stay with my
So what I would normally say is, listen, the reason I'm calling is to, basically what I'm gonna get into is asking who she knows what's the not necessarily her, so she would come to me, like, asking if any of her friends. What videos you say next? I'll like in class, because you wanna tell her there's a call. But, yeah, so, I don't know what starts. Did you ever, check Maddox, residential listed? Yeah, check it out with that in there just in case. I know you're not looking to buy or anything right now, so I know that you're not really in a rush for it. You say one, but just put that in there. You can look at other houses in your area. And it's attached to my info, so stuff that you can see or you see that you're just send it to me. But do you know of anybody that's well, that's you too?
So this is John O'Connell with Going Drill. It's calling about the house for sale up in Granola. Showing a guy, or telling a guy about the other day, he seemed pretty interested.
Yeah,
So it's just about the
I'll have to come on with
689 7205.
if they need it, and all that. But you're home, you share every day. What do you talk about? You should be able to sell at home for $1, because still looking at.
Yeah.
Look over this, make sure I get this right.
Sure.
Because I was going to do that, and then I was like, no. Right, so, concentrate.
Please don't put this here additional. I don't mind that, but
He wants me to
let's talk
rather
about
concentrate
this.
on this.
Right, the biggest doing it just so the next time I can do it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Good.
So, yeah, are you going to do
It's not contingent. Well,
you don't have anything right after you
that's why you'll see like the closing date is like pushed out from 10. Like I told them, so that's kind of.
Yeah, as soon as you want to do it,
Yeah.
this weekend, you want to do it as well. You want to go out?
What are they wanting to close after
They
the
just in that home, it's not, the deal is not contingent on them selling, but they want to get their house a little more
Mhm.
Well, they mentioned.
You on the buy side?
He said,
Yeah, that looks good. I would say you're probably going to get some pushback on that day.
well, I know that. I figured on that day.
Yeah.
So.
I would, if I was the fire station, I'd say, let's put ourselves in the seller's shoes really quick. You know, how would you feel about, you know, they're going to have to continue making mortgage payments November, December, and January. So that's potentially $3,000 almost that you're asking them to pay for in addition to this. So if you were in the shoes, would you guys be okay? And then just kind of get to like isolate, like chunk it down a little bit for them and say, oh my gosh, we are asking a lot here. And then you kind of can come to this thing where it might be better if we close closer to the middle of December or the end of December.
Yeah, and I could look into this thing too. So, but I told them because they said it's negotiable. I stopped thinking, kind of working about our figure about that date.
Yeah.
And so I mean, they said, oh, you know, that date's too long. Okay, so what about middle of January? You know, they say, okay, so what about end of December? Oh, that might work.
Yeah.
You know, my buyers are already.
Okay.
You know, so it's like you know, it's kind of working
Yeah.
time, but at the same, I'm not cool with waiting until the end of January. Like, we'll start with that. You know what I mean? But at the same time.
I would say, have you sent this out yet?
No, so I was about to say, like, as far as that's why I was asking you
I
kind of
would
look over, make sure.
potentially call them and just say, just wanted to confirm you're wanting me to send this date because I feel like you might insult them a little bit. And I wouldn't want that to start off this transaction with that friction. So if you're already okay with us closing sooner, maybe we can adjust that, and that way going in they feel really good because we want this to be a win-win, you know, for both people involved, right? Yes or yes, and that is kind of where it goes.
Okay.
So that I would just say that, just double check. Now I work for you, Mr. Seller or Mr. Buyer. So if you want me to send this, I will absolutely send it. I just want to make sure you realize that we are asking a lot to push out this date. So I just want to make sure that you're wanting me to do this. That's what I would do.
Because again, and they're cool with these people. Like, I think we saw on the property disclosure that there's a POA, somebody passed away. Because it's on the tax card, it's like 2 names. So probably sold on one there. You know, so it's on my POA. And I think she said she went through something similar, so she just wants to make it as smooth as possible. She's not asking for closing costs, tax or anything. All she's asking. And they said that's even negotiable. It's pushed out a little bit. That's it, because she's not even asking for anything from the seller whatsoever. I'm going to create her up to it, but I'm going to call her up and make sure that she's shooting a line to the seller. She said, it doesn't have a home warranty. She was like, no, we'll get on. I was like, you sure? Let's get you something. Let's get you something. Let's get you something.
I would definitely say, I would ask that.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, give them a call.
But as far as sending it over to the seller, the listing agent, that's.
Finishing up, but I'd like to make a few tally marks here. Who got appointments? How many appointments did you get? 1. Well, that 3 o'clock that you're picking up, is that not a second appointment?
Yeah, could be another touch. It's a second touch. So
is that potentially $9,000 that you just made today?
I hope so.
4,500 times 2. So is that, you know, that's her getting in front of people. So how many calls did you guys make? Just let's go around the room here.
3 phone calls. 3?
All right. What about you? Or text?
I've texted 4 people.
Okay. Alex, you were kind of working on the other stuff. Elizabeth, how many contacts did you make?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Wow.
14 people that I responded to on LinkedIn that congratulated me on my new job.
That's awesome.
They already, you said they congratulated you, just messaged you, right?
Yep.
14. This might have been a bad idea. Okay, Brandy, how many people did you call?
2.
Or text that you did 2? Okay, and Will, how many contacts did you make?
7.
Okay.
Two, but you said something that made me think about how people do this to us.
Uh-huh.
I had the Nissan dealer call me. The car I have is an unusual car. There's not many of them out there, and they call me wanting to look at my car and offer me. And well, they're trying to sell, but
right.
they want, my car is very unusual.
Okay.
And at first I thought, last night I said, well, I'll go anyway. And then you were talking about it.
Yeah.
To me, that's going to end up being an appointment.
Absolutely.
Meeting with whoever it is there, well, it's a sales manager. So at first I thought,
yeah. So did you contact them and ask for the
No, I've already got an appointment set up with them Friday afternoon, but
there you go.
I didn't look at it
As
from the right perspective.
So
I
a bold law.
Me getting business, they're trying to get business.
Exactly. One of our bold laws is if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And you'll see that a lot in this business. If you know, the way we look at things is very, sometimes closed-minded. Would you agree? That we're very in our own pattern of things, and it's hard to step out of our comfort zone. But if we just spin it a little bit and change the way we look at things, then it will change into dollar signs.
When you said that, it dawned on me.
Yeah.
I have an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friday.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you said that. So another thing to touch on that is people that you pay every month, should you be asking for business because you give them business? Mm-hmm. So to touch on that, do you pay insurance?
I don't. My husband does. I have no idea.
But you as a family, you have insurance, right?
I guess.
And do you pay? Let's say, do you pay Time Warner cable?
I don't.
Or,
I know nothing. Who you
You're an
have?
example.
No, seriously, I know nothing.
So what I would say is I would make a list of everybody that your family pays every single month and start there. If you are feeling like, I really don't know who to call, I'm not really sure like how these contacts are going to come out of the thin air, you know, well, I would start making a list of, you know, that's what I started. It's called your sphere of influence. So if you, like, for instance, I was with Allstate Insurance. I call her. Does she help people insure their home? Absolutely. Does she get calls when people are asking her, you know, hey, I'm thinking about switching here because we're thinking about getting a new house. Could she send me a referral? Yes or yes. You know, those are the people you need to be calling, because are you giving them business? Then you better believe you should ask them for business. So think about that. Make those lists. So how many contacts do you make?
I have 3 phone calls I made and about 4 texts.
Okay, Deborah?
I did 12 texts, and I have an appointment this week.
Fantastic. How many calls did you make? Or texts? 4. Okay. And did we already do you guys? Okay. Did we get everybody in the room? Did everybody anybody have any no's? Anybody have any people that were mad at them for calling?
I had one that just bought a house. I mean, she just bought it.
Okay, so you had a no.
Yeah.
But was she upset?
No,
Did
she
you call?
wants to see me. She misses me.
Okay, so that's a potential appointment too. Because even though she just bought a home, does she know 200 people that can refer you?
It's more than that. She's into acting.
Yeah. So she might get you, some referrals out of it. Who was surprised of how many people they could contact in such a short amount of time, in 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty purposeful. Very, very purposeful time is you're working smarter instead of harder. And that's going to be the name of the game here. We touched on a little bit where this can be a kind of stressful business. Your hours are really important to you, but it's what you do with the hours that make the most of things. I don't work all day. And I used to think that I would have to. I work from 9 to 12, and then from 12 to 2 is whatever I want to do, and then I have appointments in the afternoon, but not every day I have appointments. I get to choose how I want to structure my day. But for those 3 hours from 9 to 12, this is what I'm doing every day, unless I'm teaching database.
I think in my mind, that's what's throwing me off. I think sometimes too, maybe part, the overwhelming part.
Yep.
And because I've done the sales, but this to me, I told Michelle, like I'm new to this period, so I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But I think with trying to get all the contacts in and all this stuff, I think this shows how easy it can be if you actually count the text and the Facebook messages as a contact.
Absolutely.
Now for you, do you count text?
I do, because honestly, I get more responses that way. I get less. I'm better. I'm better through the text and the messenger, because I think people are generally more into that nowadays. That's their method of communication. It's quick, it's easy. They don't have to say, okay, when am I going to call that person back? Now, some people are a little bit more old-fashioned, and they would rather only do calls. So you kind of have to figure out who you're talking to and who you're contacting. But I think it's really important. So we talked to 51 people we contacted. Did we talk to each one of those, or do we just drop the brick, as I say? We just kind of touched them, where they might get back to you later on today, and I want you to kind of track how many people have not gotten back to you as of this moment, but probably will get back to you before the end of today. Will this number go up? Probably. Oh, I just was thinking of someone. Someone talked to me the other day that they're looking to buy a house or whatever. You might end up getting that response. Get the appointment. Don't continue the conversation over text. Don't continue over email. Get the appointment and get prepared for the appointment so that you'll know what to say and you'll end up looking like the expert when you're in front of those people. Yeah.
So, for instance, today you were talking about the appointment with this boutique owner.
Yeah.
That I'm picking up a check for something else. What would you recommend? How would you handle that situation to, again, drop the brick, business card? How would you handle that situation?
I would say it always goes over well when you compliment someone, even though this person is probably not your favorite. But you can say, "Oh, I know," but you know what? It's gonna be good in the long run.
Yes.
So, in my experience, if I say, "I just can't," so many people. You're always in front of all these different. She's a boutique owner. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So would it be okay? Always ask somebody for permission. That's kind of what I touched on. Would it be okay if from now and then I contact you regarding real estate? Would that be okay with you? And when you're asking permission, what are they probably going to say? Yeah, sure. So I have this awesome app that I use. It's free, and it kind of gives you an idea of what things are selling for in the area, what things are on the market for. Would you be interested in something like that? All I need is your phone number. And then you give that to them, and then you say, oh, by the way, if you come into contact with anybody that's looking for a house, you can forward it to them. All you need is their phone number. Do you guys know how to share the app within the app? So teach your clients how to do that too, because they know a ton of people that then your information will be right in their phone and they can text you through that app. I've gotten a lot of business that way, actually, and with other people sharing the app. So who doesn't want to know what's going on in real estate, really? How many times have you been at a party or whatever, or at a social event, and people are talking about real estate? So many times. So that's something that everybody wants to know what's going on. And I even say too, when I'm on vacation, that's when I pull up the app more than ever, because I want to know what's selling around here that's, different from our market. So then you can kind of say, that kind of brings you back to a real person, not just a salesperson, and ask them where they're going on vacation. Engage into a different conversation and say, you might have other family members that don't live in the state that they might want to know what's going on in their market. Share the app with them. I've gotten referrals from Boston that way. So there's a lot you can do with the app, and that would be what I would recommend, is just when you're at that appointment, share the app and just kind of drop the brick that way. So anybody else have some negative phone calls or any? Okay.
I had 2 or 3 that said they weren't
in the market.
In the market right now to buy or sell, but I got a couple that said they had a friend or a brother or someone who might be looking.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
She's gonna keep me in mind and all that.
So really, that do you feel like out of that 51, was it like a scary situation that you got a lot of no's? No. Does it feel a little bit more like it's manageable now, that you can can just do a sweet little script and talk to some people, and what is this? That's a lot of money that was just made potentially, you know? And all of these people will potentially get back to you in the next day or so. You might get some appointments then. It's a lot of money. So this is a real thing that you guys can do on a daily basis. Contact 10 people. So Elizabeth just contacted 14 people. She's done for the day, right? Right. But she could potentially be, if she wanted to. If she wanted to spend time with her family, did she work today? Absolutely. Where those people get back to her and then they'd potentially be the person that they talk to tomorrow. So when you think of it that way, when you chunk it down and you say, okay, I don't have to work in front of my laptop for 60 hours a week to be able to make the money that I need to make. Be very purposeful in the calls that you make. And if you do it in a way that is very intentional, then you're not going to have to be spinning your wheels. Okay?
That made my husband very happy that you said that.
Are you guys cold, hot or cold or anything?
Cold blood.
You guys get hot. I'm back here sweating. I'm sorry. Oh, it'll be cold in about 5 minutes. Cold, hot. Alright. If you guys get hot, we can turn that down. It's just really cold over there.
Okay. That's a really good question. He asked, what do you bring to an appointment? It changes if it's a buyer or a seller. Or if it's someone that you're just meeting for, to catch up with and to just chat about real estate. That might be someone that's going to refer you business. The answer is 2 parts. So the buyer, appointment is going to be, I use a white folder that is a Keller Williams folder. It's $1 for a folder, and you can order them here. And they'll just put it on your agent bill.
How do you order them?
So in the filing cabinet, does everybody in the mail room know where the filing cabinet is? So our mailboxes are, you know where the mailboxes are? Well, if you're standing at the mailboxes, right here to the right is the tall filing cabinet. And that has all the forms in it, the sample forms that we need to use in real estate. And so you could get the sample form and make copies. You just put in your little code so it charges you the number of copies that you make. In the very front of that is the order form. It just says Keller Williams order form. And you can order brochures for the working with real estate agents, which I highly recommend. 25 cents a copy. And the brochure is great. I know a lot of people do a lot of digital things, but when you're going to an appointment, if we're going to be talking about financial information, confidential, are we supposed to be giving that brochure? Say yes. So that is something that I would highly recommend you spend the money on. I just get like 20 at a time. And most of the time, if I'm having an appointment with somebody, I'm most likely going to be working with them. So why not go ahead and get them to sign that and you have it on the file. You start the file with it. The other brochure that I always get is the question and answer brochure for inspections. That's also 25 cents per copy. You can order that here. And I put that in my buyer and my seller. We need to educate people on what inspections are supposed to look like because people think that they need to rebuild the house. And that's not, they're so surprised that it just needs to be in working order. It doesn't need to be a new roof. It just needs to be a functional roof. So when you add value to somebody in these appointments, they're going to remember you and be like, wow, she knows what she's talking about. Let me ask another question. So whoever asks the most questions controls the conversation. So when you go to these appointments, you're bringing value. So you're bringing these brochures, and you're bringing your business card, or whatever you want to bring. And then you're also, you're adding, I lost my train of thought. You're bringing your business cards, your brochures, and then you're also asking questions. So you're going to ask them a ton of questions because whoever controls or asks the most questions controls the conversation, but whoever talks the most dominates the conversation. So make sure that you know the difference. Okay? So when you ask them questions, it doesn't have to be necessarily about real estate. It can just be about their life, and then you'll pick up on something that says, oh, I have something that I can value here that I can give them. So just make sure that you're bringing those things. If it's a listing presentation, then it's a completely different ballgame. You want to bring a CMA, you want to bring certain specific forms that you'll learn more about in the other forms of Ignite. We're kind of laying the foundation right now of knowing who to call. Once you get the appointment, you'll have some different tools in your toolbox to bring to the appointment. But what I was telling Randy about on break is I have a box in my car that is like a filing box. It's like this big. And it has every single form I need for all of real estate. It can even be a Keller Williams referral form. You know, if I meet somebody out and they want to refer me business, I've got the form. Due diligence repair request. Everything that I would ever need is in there, including my pre-made buyer consultation folder and listing presentation folder. That's going to save you so much time. And that's talking about being efficient. Instead, because I used to be scrambling. I'd be like, oh my God, what do I need? And then I'd be all over the place. And then when you're about to go to the appointment, are you stressed? Because you've just been running all over the place trying to get everything you need. Well, now you got the appointment. Your Google Calendar says, hey, you've got an appointment in 15 minutes. You drive to the appointment. You go to the back of your car. You pick up the folder and you go to the appointment. It's a very different experience, right? I would suggest you do that. I got my business in a box for $10 at Target, and I got like maybe 20 of the green insert divider things, and it comes with little tabs. And then I came in here and I just copied. If you don't have a copier at home, you can use here, or you can use it at home. You just copied. And then every week at the end of the week, I take inventory of what I need to make copies of, so that I always am having those. Some other things that I put in that box are my measuring tools. I use the Bosch laser measuring tool.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, Bosch, B-O-S-C-H. It's a laser measuring tool. It's about $50. But it's going to be really making your life a lot easier measuring the inside of homes. You just place it up to the wall, press the button, and it tells you how many feet from here to there. It's really beneficial. Then I usually have my 100-foot measuring tape as well, and that's the one that lines up the exterior of the home. And I also put in a screwdriver, because if no one's with me to measure the house, you're trying to do the exterior, you just put the screwdriver in the ground and you walk. So I think that's an Arlene trick that she told me about.
You can do the laser on the outside of the house.
You can if you put something in the ground, like a screwdriver.
Well, you would be the first one to do that, but
he's right. Put the screwdriver at the edge of the house, and then you stand at the other edge.
Either that, or just take one of your signs with you, because the sign is large. Like I've done a lot of this. I used to do technical theater.
What if you say, missed it?
Take one of your signs, like the sign's a pretty decent sign, just shove it in the ground, walk with the laser, point it at the sign.
Yeah. And
if you
so
put it at the corner of the building,
you can do that.
That'll tell you how far you are or how far
perfect.
Yeah.
You are very
Thank you.
If you don't have the brochure on measuring homes from the real estate board, that's a really good one to get to. It's something that we all need to be really good at, because there's a lot of margin for error, and we're finding that square footages are wrong and appraisals are coming in low because of it. So you want to make sure that you're accurate and you're doing the best you can with that. Okay, so I'm glad that you guys had a good experience with this. Did you guys like that script? Was that easy? Okay. So try that over the next week and start, texting that out, putting it on Facebook too. Like a lot of times at night when I'm just like watching a show or watching Netflix or whatever, I'll get on Facebook and I'll just like randomly pick people to message that to. And that works out really well too. So anyway, I'm glad you guys had a good experience and you made a little bit of money. So we're going to turn to page 13. So this talks a little bit, and we've kind of breezed through this since we've already talked about handwritten notes. But I want you guys to take about 5 minutes, and I want you to make an action plan for what you're going to do over the next week with your notes. Whether that's going to be you're going to send out a newsletter. And in Michael Lewis Suites that we have, there are templates for newsletter. You guys don't have to come up with this stuff. You just put your branding on it and just send it out. It can be a digital newsletter or it can be a printed one. Are you guys familiar with the Michael Lewis Suites? No? So we, as an agent at Keller Williams, we have access to this. We actually, our market center pays about $500 a month for having this. And so it's a really good tool. If you go to michaellewissuites.com and you can put suites, not like WEETS, it's like Suite 201 type of thing. And I had my first listing presentation. That was my listing presentation. I just copied it, put my name on it. A buyer's consultation. All of that is right in there that we can use. So make sure that, actually my business cards, this is the template from Michael Lewis Suites that I got from there. They're a little bit more expensive. I think for $250 I paid $60 for them, but they're a little bit different. Mm-hmm.
Stuff on the back of mine, maybe that's what it was.
But I want you to write 3 things down that you're going to do over the next week. You're going to plan out for the rest of the year. So we've got a couple holidays in there. So plan out what you're going to do for contacting people. And we'll hear what you come up with in the next few minutes here. Yeah, it should be a logger. Alex, have you used them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have my life. It may be a little different.
It's on the back page. It's at the top, Michael Lewis Marketing account.
Oh, maybe I gave you the wrong. Michael Lewis Marketing. Rather.
If you Google it, you find it, but the login and password.
If you haven't.
Yeah, if it's already set up, so it'll be your name, I guess, and then
Yeah,
www.com and password.
Let's just give it a try and see.
If you don't have it, we can get together. I'll get a list together for Kayla, and we can get you guys locked into that. There's a lot of things on there that it will prompt you that are not free, but just go to the free stuff first because there's a lot of stuff on there that you don't need to pay for. That already have templates of what you can use.
The password was MLS.
Yes, password. password.
Put 3 things down that you're going to be. Oh, you were out of the room. We're putting a plan together from now to the end of the year of what you're going to do for as far as notes or any kind of holiday cards, those kind of things. So I want you to write 3 things down that you're going to do and implement this week for handwritten notes or any kind of mailers or holiday contact info stuff. all got something down? Let's hear a couple of things that you guys are going to do. Who wants to share?
Because going through all 5,000 contacts might be a little daunting, I'm actually going to arrange a nice email blast that does some cross marketing for both businesses and has health and wellness things tied in with the real estate and get them a plethora of information on the market, but then letting them know I'm in business and asking for those referrals.
Awesome.
And try and send that
Very
out
good.
to all emails.
When are you planning on sending it out?
I'd love to do it this week.
Okay.
So
So
it's
I
getting my layout that I'm
Yeah.
the right way and right look.
I would suggest putting a date on it
Okay.
so that you can have that, you know, because if you're committing that to yourself, that you're saying, I'm going to do this by Friday or whenever you plan on doing
And
it.
Sunday night's a good night to send
Yep.
emails. People will read their emails.
So, yeah, by 9 p.m. on Sunday or something like that, you can just, that way it's more of a commitment that you've made to yourself. Okay, who else?
I created a Facebook business page,
Uh-huh.
and I go out there daily and I put things out there.
Yeah.
Well, you guys familiar with Festival of Lights at Tanglewood?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, the Village of Clemens, that's where I live, they're going to do place cards this year for certain developments that are within that area. I happen to live in one. And it's a flash card that we're going to flash to the deputies so we can get home.
Okay.
So I put that on my business Facebook page. So
Yeah.
I am pulling things out from the town of Clemens because that's where I live.
Yeah.
I'm going to put things out there twice a week
Great.
for all of the residents in that area and anybody who is, of course,
Awesome.
liking and following my Facebook business page.
Okay, so which 2 days are you choosing?
I usually do Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay.
It just depends on when information comes out. Sometimes I do a little bit every day.
Okay. Awesome. That's a great plan. One more. What about you, Alex?
I mean, for me, it would be good to do something as far as the holidays, but I mean, I'm just going to send out a newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So, what do you think would be grab someone's attention in a newsletter?
Well, Thanksgiving's coming up, so I was thinking.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned the recipe.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten one of those from someone before? I've gotten one from someone, and it's been years, and I still remember that, and I just thought it was just so different from what I've ever gotten, and it made me feel like it's like that warm and fuzzy thing because it was something that was from their family's recipe book, and I was like, that's so nice.
Did they put it on a little card? Like
Yeah,
it's
it's like
like photocopy or
it's like a 5x7 photo, like a laminated type of card, like a glossy type of finish with a business card, where it's almost like a postcard size. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For those of you who have done this, how did you make the grand announcement? I mean, obviously, people know because I've changed my status on LinkedIn and Facebook, but I haven't done anything official.
Do a Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
Do a
That's a good
Do a
idea.
Facebook Live. Do a Facebook Live, and then ask your closest friends to share it.
Yep.
And then anybody who likes it, you can go back and message them and thank them for liking it.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good idea.
Did you say live versus just a regular?
Yeah.
What you mean.
Yep. So
There's an actual
on
thing called
Facebook, you want to go.
It's like a video.
And you can hit this live button right there, and it'll count you down, and you just stand there and you wait. It's also another great marketing tool when you're doing houses.
Open
You want to
house.
show your house, show a house. You can go in and say, all right, guys, I just listed this. Is it not gorgeous?
Yeah.
And you do a Facebook Live, and then again, follow up with everyone who likes it or comments on it or
So it's
whatever.
just recording.
Yeah, so it's a live. It's literally like FaceTime. It's like
Okay.
FaceTime,
Okay.
but people can chime in and you can see how many people are on.
Yeah.
But don't worry about that because later on, people will see it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend doing a live.
A lot of people are doing that when they're doing open houses too. When you're holding a home open, it can sometimes be a little bit boring to wait for buyers to come by. And so it's something to do to get your name out there and to get that video in front of people that maybe weren't able to come to the house, but you're able to showcase that house to all of those people. So really, who came to the open house? All the people that saw the video, right? So
I think it's a better idea of while you're doing your setup before any clients get there, any buyers.
Absolutely.
I recommend doing it beforehand. That way you can be like, if you like what you saw from the video, you can come see it in person.
Right.
Because I'm recording this at 1, it doesn't start till 2. You've got an hour to get your stuff together and get down here.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a really good idea.
So what you just said, you're not showing the whole house though, right? I mean, you're not going to give them everything, otherwise they won't come want to see.
You can do a quick walkthrough.
Just a quick.
Because,
Yeah,
well, that's
you
the
can-
thing is that video, like the 3-dimensional versus 2-dimensional medium, it does not show the same. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're giving them an idea of what's going on around you, but you cannot get the feel of a house, particularly from video or from images, because unless you're walking through it, you don't really get a sense for how high the ceilings are, how wide the walls are, how big the rugs are, things like that. So it's a better idea to basically do a quick walkthrough, show very specific things that are unique about the home, and then be like, if you want to see everything and see how it works together, come in. I've given you an hour leeway, so just a heads up.
That's a good idea.
Instagram Live,
Instagram
Instagram Story, do your Instagram Stories, your Snapchat.
Yep.
So I've been Snapchatting and Instagramming story while I'm here.
Yeah, and that's
Social
a
media
really good
is-
idea. The other thing is that if
Sorry.
you know it's fine. If you know certain people that are not digitally inclined, you can give them a handwritten invitation to your open house. That's one of your 10 notes, right? If you have, like, who loves to get invitations to things? I mean, I love it. I think it's great. If it's not, like, because it's personalized, too.
Wait till you have kids, you ain't gonna like it so much.
Well, I mean, but you know what? Is that a great way to market with other parents? Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a great way you can hand invite people to things. It might be a little bit of a slower thing, but if you're going to church and you know that somebody's looking for a house and you want to invite a couple people, hey, I just want to get your opinion on this house. Actually, it's a really unique floor plan. Would you mind stopping by between 2 and 4 on Sunday, after church or after, whatever? And you just give them a hand invitation to wherever you're going to be.
Do people really still go to open houses?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Because, and you know what? They don't have realtors. I've gotten so much business being a buyer's agent. Absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
Did you guys see that class that's at 1:30 today? It's for open houses.
Yeah.
So I need to stay.
No, girl, we'll go have lunch and then we'll come back here.
Yeah.
Dude,
Let's
the-
roll on that.
Well, I mean, the one
Yeah,
I-
it's at 1:30.
the 2 I went to on Sunday, the second one, the really weird layout one, we were there for maybe 30 minutes or so. And in the 30 minutes we were there, I believe that at least 4 other groups of people came through.
Yeah.
So
People still go. I mean, yeah, it is going to depend on the location sometimes. And people are starting to do open houses not just on Sundays and doing them at different times because
Like in the evenings, like a Thursday
Yeah,
night.
yeah. I did a wine and cheese type of thing for one of my houses that was like a 4 to 7, like a happy hour type of thing on a Thursday, and that was really good. I got a lot of, and that was a broker's open, so I had a lot of brokers come through that were finishing out their day that just wanted to have a little drink and see a house.
What does it mean, brokers open?
Brokers open is you only invite brokers.
And you don't want that at your own house. Trust me, they had it at my house, and I just thought it was the craziest thing. I thought like I'd get sales off of it. Oh my God, no! I just got all these people that came in with their high heels and dug them in my hardwood floors, and I was so upset. I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. Get them out of my house.
Really?
Yeah, it was
I've
just bad.
I've had a couple times. I've done brokers opens.
That's like a party.
Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't say too much. I mean, seriously, never.
I can see
Well,
it's your listing. It works
the one
better.
that I
So my
did.
house is listed, so I could do it at my own house.
Yeah,
And
you
I have my
could.
house listed.
And then you can,
So-
you can invite all the brokers and realtors, and then they can come, because you never know, they may have a buyer, and they're just coming and looking to see what you have.
But I can still party and serve.
Absolutely.
Well, here's a tip too. You don't have to spend a dime. We have people that we work with. I just did one in Ardmore, and Matt from Geico, I give him a lot of business, and he sponsored it, and it was a complete Chick-fil-A spread at lunchtime in Ardmore near the hospital. Everybody's like, I have to have lunch anyway. Let me just stop in from 11 to 1, and you end up having a drawing for a $25 gift card somewhere, and the mortgage lender gives the gift card. So I didn't spend a dime on the whole thing. And I had probably like 25 brokers come through. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways you can do things that are, smart instead of, having, sometimes we learn from people that have done it the wrong way, right? And so you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that person that we're
at an open house, say it's not your listing, but you're working it for someone. Because that happens, right? I see people email all the time.
Yeah.
Can someone work my open house?
Yeah.
We'll still do this. If you're working the open house for that person and buyers are coming in that do not have an agent, how does that work? It's fair game.
It's fair game. That's the reason why you're wanting to do the open house, because those contacts are now your contacts.
And then what's your verbiage that you use?
Well, I liked, we're gonna, that's really something that they're gonna get.
Today. It's here.
We'll get it. No, it's fine. I'll touch on it a little bit, but you'll learn a little bit more in depth. What I always like to say is I like to build rapport with that person, not just like go straight into sales mode, because that can be very pushy, and not everybody is a high D personality. So you want to kind of go into a place where, like, tell me a little bit what you're looking for in a house. Like, let's walk through. Tell me what your favorite features are in here, or maybe what you're not seeing that you want to see in the house that you're going to buy. And then you start talking a little bit about, so have you talked to a lender? Do you know what you can afford? And you actually have that pre-qualifying conversation.
But that what point, you need to whip it out, right? So you need to let them know.
I always have the brochures right there on the counter.
Before really you even start, you need to go over that.
Because I always have them come in and sign in, and I say, it's really important to my sellers to know who's been in their home. It's a safety thing, and this is a big deal for my sellers to hold their home open. Please come and sign in, and they sign the brochure. They put their email information, everything, and that way I can send them thank you notes for attending. So that's one of your 10, right?
Yep.
So are you learning things of how you can then, implement these 10 for?
I like the lottery ticket.
People
lottery
love
ticket, just
that.
in case you hit the lottery and you want to buy a $2 million home from me. Call me.
Well, and then
I just paid you.
And I say like cheesy things too, because what people remember cheesy, right?
Yes,
as much as it's like you don't want to be that cheesy person, but do they remember it?
Yeah, be that cheesy.
So I say I hit the lottery having you as a client, and there's a lot of.
I love it. Cool.
It is what it is. So I also do anniversary gifts. Like, that's my anniversary thing where I send out that note and say, I can't believe it's been a year since you bought your house.
No one has ever done that. And I bought my house, both houses I bought from the 2 top agents in our town. The 2 top agents, one the first time, the second. And I never got a welcome to your new home gift. I never got a packet of welcome to the area. I never got a follow-up. Do you love your home? I never got it's been a year, it's been 2 years, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And
I got
and now I'm
Well, and here's the thing. Do we just have to do our job right? There's enough people out there that are doing it wrong that will make us look good, right? So you just have to do a couple things right.
I'm confused. I thought we were not allowed to give gifts.
No.
Like housewarming gifts and stuff like that.
No, you're
I
right.
sent flowers.
You're not allowed to receive gifts.
Yeah.
It's received,
Yeah.
right? But we can give all we want.
So I had a seller, they chose to buy without an agent because they already knew the person's house they were buying, so they did the transaction without either one. Neither party had a buyer's agent, but I sold their house for them, and I sent them, after they closed 3 days later, flowers to their new address, their new home, just welcoming it to them, their new home, and thanking them for letting me sell their home.
And here's a little tidbit. The tax thing, you can only write off $25 worth of each gift, except for there's a loophole. If you're marketing yourself on that gift in some way, then you can write off the whole thing. So it's actually considered as advertising when you do your taxes instead of a gift, because $25 is only the top amount that you can do for gifts. So I always it's always advertising for me. Yeah.
I wonder how that looks on your file for your taxes. You bought so many lottery tickets.
Well, if you're stapling your business card to it,
I
business
just
card
sit
to
here
it.
thinking,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
that's
sure.
right.
Right, this is expensive.
Right, exactly.
Less entries they have to do.
So I do woodworking and like I
Yeah.
can make little trinkets and stuff.
Yeah.
How exactly would I write that off as the amount of money I would charge for those on a regular basis? Because like I do little just wood sculptures and stuff.
I would just say I would come up with I would come up with a retail price
Retail price, what you would sell it
and
for.
what the value of it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I would do. A lot of people are doing things that are like, for instance, I don't know if you, So he was actually in our bowl class, but there's a guy named Theo that comes around, and he specializes in advertising for real estate agents. And I don't know if you've heard of Cutco knives, but they have this is a way. I'm not saying you should do this. This is not something I do, but this is a way that it's an example of how someone were to advertise themselves through a gift. And there's actually their number one seller is one of the things that is like one of the spreading things. It's like you would spread at a party. You would use it as a party utensil.
It has serrated blades on the side of it, and then it's actually just a small spatula.
Right.
I sold Cutco for like 2
Yeah.
months, and I was like, I'm out. You guys
Right,
suck.
right. But here's the thing for real estate agents: if you give them that, and it says it's engraved on it, Emily Raulerson, Keller Williams Realty. Every time they use that, is that a billboard in their kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a way you can write off 100%. I'm gonna get us out of time, out of here on time, I promise. So we're going to watch a little bit of video that I told you it was corny, but it is going to tell you, it's going to highlight a couple things of why we are needing to be organized in our business because it's definitely something that is important.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
when you come across and you meet other agents and realtors with other firms, do you add them to your database?
Yes. There's a way to categorize.
How do you touch them? Because they made it one time join you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I have a pipeline for not only my clients, but my profit share pipeline. And the reason why I have that is because when you'll come across some really awesome real estate agents that you like to work with, and when your buyer wants to see their house, you're going to be like, oh, let's put an offer in on this one. Even though you can't steer, you're going to be like, you're hoping that you get to work with that agent instead of maybe another agent that isn't so great to work with.
Right.
So be that agent that everybody wants to work with, number one. But also put them in your database, and also when you are on your green sheet, you can say, like, Michelle, reach out to this person, they're really awesome. So that's another way you can put them in your pipeline, put them categorize them as an agent in your database.
Okay.
So, and you can remind yourself to call them through the task manager.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to get to the link. It's not. Let me get. It's usually at the bottom here. Let me get Kayla. She'll know. Let's do this every time. I forget where that dang link is.
Oh, you're close.
I'm close.
It's right below it. Just click on this.
On that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're so close.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To lead generate. Because her contacts are organized, she is able to make effective calls that yield results.
Hello, Mr. Smith. This is Nancy from Keller Williams Realty. How are you today?
You can see that because she took time to build, organize, and nurture her database, her business is growing and becoming profitable.
Okay, so you're not moving. Is there anyone else who is? Well, I wanted to talk to you about the inquiry you put in online for a new home. Yes. Well, can we meet at 2 o'clock on Tuesday? I'll put you down in my books. Thank you so much.
Here is Nancy. She doesn't think she needs a database. She has a system. Watch as she tries to lead generate.
Hello, Mr. Smith. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Johnson. This is Nancy. We met a couple weeks ago. You moved a month ago. Gosh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, is there another time we can talk?
As you can see, an organized database is your most valuable business asset. A powerful database produces productive and predictable leads. The results speak for themselves.
Do you see how she was using the task manager instead of that notebook? Now, when we're out and about, are we going to use our notebook and then go back when we are at our computer to add in those clients? Yeah. So, anybody have any questions about that?
My phone has an app on it for business cards.
Oh yeah.
It just they're out there. Mine just happen to have it. You just scan it and it dumps it right into your contact. The business card, the picture, and everything.
That's awesome. That's a really good idea.
So I did that yesterday. You know, Elliot from the flyover NC whatever.
Yeah.
That was here for the.
Oh yeah.
So I immediately put it in Cam Card and went to the car in the parking lot after I left and immediately sent him an email and followed up because we were talking about weight loss and health and wellness.
Yeah.
Immediately followed up with him not only about his business congratulating, but then also weaving in another business and getting business from that.
That's really
so
cool.
Just from doing, put the contact in. Cam Card. It looks like that. The two C's on the blue box. Cam Card.
Okay, so
directly to your phone.
Let's see here.
So you'll go ahead and put it in your contacts too. So when you go to an email and type in their name, it's already in your contacts. So then I can throw the business card away. Or let them save it. That's the other thing I told him. I said save it, I'll scan it. And then he doesn't know it's one less thing that they pay for.
I told you that chair is going to kill me. So make sure that you feed your database every day with adding at least 10 people. It takes about 15 minutes for you to go through these people, figure out which ones you're going to talk to. So what I would recommend is before you go to bed at night, kind of set up yourself for the next morning and find out who you're going to talk to the next day. I know that seems like adding something to your plate, but it's actually going to save you time the next day. Because if you go through and you say, okay, who should I talk to? And you're like, then you're trying to figure out, well, I don't know, I talked to that person the other day and, oh, I'm going to speak to that person at this event, so I don't need to talk to them. How much time are you wasting going through that? So at the end of your day, try to set up, just say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to talk to for sale by owners. Or tomorrow I'm going to talk to expired listings. I'm going to go through Zillow and look for 5 for sale by owners, and I'm going to go in the MLS and look for 5 expireds. So for sale by owners, expireds that day, or you can go through and say, I'm going to talk to 10 people that I've met, that actually I've met them. And so you can kind of categorize who you're going to talk to from each day. So we're going to turn to 27. Finishing up here, we're going to talk a little bit about how to categorize your contacts. And don't feel overwhelmed because it's going to take you some time to go through eEdge to really start implementing all these things. But you just want to take a few things from each class and start making action plans like we did for the notes and Alex is going to do a newsletter and Deborah's going to do the 2 posts on Facebook. So make sure that it's not vague, that it's something that is very specific that you're going to do and you're going to commit to it. So in these classifications, the one thing that I would say that if you take away from today is when you categorize your contacts, you can use a system like I use, or you can make your own system. The system I use is A, B, C, and D. And when I put somebody in my database, I'm going to put a little letter, one of those letters, over to the side of that person. So I know if they're an A, they're looking in the next month to buy. 0 to 1 month. They're going to buy or sell or invest in real estate. B is 0 to 3 months. And then, so I know how to follow up with that person. So C is going to be 3 to 6 months. And D is going to be that they're not really ready to do anything. They're not going to commit to anything. So those people that are B and C, they might be working on their credit, trying to get pre-qualified, right? I have a lot of people that are like, I'd love to buy a house with you. Send me your lender's information, and then they can't get pre-qualified yet. So then what do? You don't just like let them drop off. You say, well, my lender's going to help you get to where you need to be. And you really want to work with somebody that is willing to be patient with those people. I can give you some contacts if you don't have somebody already that is helping people in my contact database that are still looking to improve their credit. And usually within 60 days, they can help them improve their credit score that quickly. And get pre-qualified. So you want to make sure that you're categorizing these people in groups. You can do family, friends, work contacts, agents. We talked about real estate agents, putting them in a separate group, school, sports team, or open house contacts. I really don't go that far with it. I just do the A, B, C, and D. I like to simplify things. So that way, right off the bat, if I see that letter, I know exactly who they are because I know where I need to work with them. So if you can even put E and F in there, if you want to say E is they're referring me clients. They're a past client. They're referring me clients. Something like that. You can choose your own customization. So any questions about how to classify your contacts and categorize them? No?
So you said A is buy now, B is 1 to 3 months.
B is usually, 0 to 3 months. C is 3 to 6, and D is not ready at all. They just have no time frame in mind. So, campaigns. Campaigns are going to be really important. So those people, now that you've categorized them and know exactly where they're going to be, and this is for buy or sell, because people are always like, oh, I want to sell my house, but I need to get it ready. Or I know that I need to have a new roof on it, so it's going to take me 2 months to be able to save up to do that. So these are for buy or sell. 8x8, anybody know what an 8x8 is? 8 touches in 8 weeks. So what category is that going to be? What would you, A, B, C, or D? It's probably going to be A and B, because A and B is now, and then or within a month, and B is within a 3-month time period. So that 8 weeks is 60 days. You're going to want to make sure that they are seeing you constantly, because they've told you, I want to do this very soon. So a 33 touch is going to be 33 different touches in a year's time. That can include 3 phone calls, 4 personal cards, whether it be like a holiday card or an event that you're doing that you're inviting them to, a newsletter like Alex is going to do. If you do a personal message on Facebook, that can count as a touch. It can't be like a post on Facebook as one of your friends, because you don't know if they saw that or not. But definitely utilize the holidays, because that's going to be automatically something that you can use. And then emails are touches too. So I would suggest that you put together a plan in the next week of 33 ways that you want to contact your clients in a year. Anybody have any drunk monkeys with that? Is that too many? Too many times for people? 33 times? Okay. Woo! He's talking to you? Okay, so I thought the same thing, but there's never.
That's only 2 times.
There's never too much. There's never too much. Right. So, have you ever, well, if you're just getting in the business, you might not have had this, but I have come home, pulled up in my driveway, and my jaw dropped because my neighbor had a different sign in their front yard. I didn't ask for the business. How would I expect that they were going to list with me? This was my first 6 months in real estate. And that's when I got this. I was like, okay, I get it now. You have to talk to people and ask for the business. If I would have put her on an 8x8 campaign, do you think she would have listed with me? Yeah. So that's the importance of this, staying in front of people. If you think the campaigns are too much for certain people, then use different ways. You know, if it's too much digital contacts with them. I've had people unsubscribe from my campaigns, and I got really offended at first. I mean, the best man at my wedding unsubscribed from my campaign, and I was like, but he's a web developer. Did he want extra emails on a daily basis? No. So I just call him, invite him to my events, those kind of things. Did I sell a house for him and buy a house? Absolutely. In the last year. He sold and bought with me in the last year. So don't be offended if people unsubscribe. So putting it all together, do we have an action plan of how to contact people? Yeah? Everybody feel good at who to contact, sphere of influence?
Yeah. I have a random question for you.
Sure.
Inviting them to your own events, but what about like what she was doing with the fundraising, inviting them to community events?
Yeah.
Or other events going on. That still counts?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to be at that event, go for it.
Okay.
Just use any way you can.
Okay.
Make sure you prepare for your next class. You want to make sure, I'll get to you in a second. You want to make sure that you're doing some of these things, even though it might feel overwhelming for you. Getting prepared for the next Ignite is going to make sure that you're going to be in production faster. We all want you to make money faster. That's why you're here. So if you implement some of these things, do the homework, talk to the contacts, start with a daily 10-4. That's what's going to get you the most money fast, is talking to the most people, and use the scripts. Find out what works for you. Yeah.
If you're interested in certain areas of things, like look for conventions, look for meetups, look for things like that. Look for any type of social event that's just happening in your area. I just went to the Greensboro and the Winston Pride parades, and I made tons of contacts just being at those.
That's awesome.
And I mean, there's always something going on if you're willing to look for it.
Yep.
Because almost every weekend, like just from my personal perspective, I literally can't even make it to every comic convention that's in this state. Because there's too many.
There's so many.
There's
like, a lot of events.
It's an average of 2 per weekend, depending on where you're at.
And there's a lot of free events, so you don't feel like you have to spend money to find people to talk to you. So
I'll just put a plug in for meetup.com. I've got to try it. I've got a dog owners group that I lead. We're going to the Hardwood Festival of Lights. We're walking our dogs.
That's awesome.
I mean, there's a jog for Thanksgiving. There's a jog for Christmas. I mean, there's anything you're interested in, books, gardening.
There's a meetup for it.
There's a meetup for it. Yeah. So if you need to expand your sphere.
Sure. You don't have to pay money to be a part of the Chamber of Commerce to get the networking that would do. Does that make sense? Because that was something that I thought. I said, well, when I first started out, I can't spend that money right now. They only allow you to have one person per trade to be in some of those BNI groups. So find a different outlet that you might be able to be a part of to get yourself in front of people, get exposure, wear your name tag, and just talk to people. People want to talk about real estate. So this is the part that I always like to hear. I want to make sure that I've brought some value today. So if you can tell me something that you learned or something that is an aha for you that really helped you today, that would help me know that I need to talk about that in other classes. So I'd love to hear from you guys of something that you learned that you're going to implement in your business. Anybody want to share?
You don't have to work 60 hours a day.
Yeah.
To be successful at this.
Yeah, you don't. You really don't.
It doesn't always have to be about business to make an impression.
Right. It doesn't. No. There's a lot of times that I speak to people and don't even, I make it a game. Like, I'm not going to talk about real estate. They're going to ask me. And that's a fun game to play. Because a lot of times that will earn someone's business so much more sometimes because they're expecting for you to ask. And a lot of times when you're just calling because you're wanting to know how they are because they're a real person and you care about them as a person, then that earns you their business. So, yeah.
Sure, two things. I love the answer you gave about going into the gas station and sharing the app.
Yeah.
Because I talk to people like randomly like that all the time. And
Yeah.
Gas station and that sort of thing.
Coffee shops, everywhere.
And then the second thing was when you're talking to people on the phone or even I would assume in person it would work as well. When you really don't have time to chat with someone, I'm sorry, I'm going to an appointment. I'm on my way to an appointment. Can we schedule an appointment to talk about it?
Absolutely. And even when you're in a conversation and you need more time to think about what to say next, I use this all the time. And I'm like, tell me more about that. You just are like trying to think of what to say next. Like, can you elaborate? I want to know more about that. And people they love it because they're like, I'm bringing something to the conversation, like they kind of stand taller and they're like, okay, it's almost like a compliment to them that you are really listening to them. And so many people talk but don't listen. So if you need more time and you're stumbling on your words, say things like that where you're like, I want to know more about that or tell me more, that kind of thing. So build your business. Go out there, talk to people, make your contacts, and make a ton of money.
There was one question that was asked about getting all the information about a physical address.
Yeah.
Mine are normally Facebook.
Okay. So what I would definitely suggest is if you have one piece of information, if you have their email, or if you only have their phone number, you have a reason to contact that person to get all the other pieces of the puzzle. Just say, hey, I'm updating my database, and I just realized that I don't have your address. I want to make sure that you get my Christmas card this year, or I want to make sure that I have your birthday so that I can, celebrate your birthday with you. So that's a reason to contact that person out of your 10 that day if you don't have the information. That's my favorite way to contact people is because you say, I need to update your information so that you're not missing out on these things. So, does that answer your question? Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't mind filling out, if you don't have a form, let me know. I've got some extras up here. Who doesn't have a survey? Thank you.
Do we turn those in today or we just hang on to them?
Yeah, you can turn them in to Kayla, and I can sign your book for. RAULERSON. Put it up here. Looking forward to seeing all y'all's posts on Facebook and your successes coming up.
back to this, but you know, I'm just like anywhere starting one story. I knew we had this part, but I ain't know this. We get started off too. I mean, I've done pretty much all this stuff.
Oh,
I
it's
guess.
fine. Yeah.
So, I have a question for you. You're a voter.
Yeah.
You said you only have 219 contacts. What are you doing sure 100 contacts?
A lot of times there are different database.
So you're just retouching the same one?
And retouching, but also I haven't added a lot of them. I'm really bad about not adding them to my database. So a lot of times it's, and you know, last week I only got 80.
Yeah.
So like it's not every week you get 100.
Yeah, last week I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought you were done with night for some odd reason. I was like, wait, he just started.
No, because you know, when we started,
Yeah.
we missed it.
Yeah.
So you guys
Right after, yes.
Anyway, so,
I think it's because I didn't see you Monday.
well, I came to that one class. I think we were in it together that one day, right?
Orientation?
Well, Ignite.
No. I was in school.
That's who the tables were this way? What was the class?
Okay, I don't remember. That was not I don't think that was
My
Ignite.
grandmother is Joanne. She
Oh,
was
that was a
school
marketing.
teacher.
That was the
She's
kickoff.
a
Ignite kickoff. That's Friday. You know what? That's
I was.
for
I
that.
was right over here. But the tables
I
were
don't
this way.
remember.
It was going around the room.
It wasn't that. It was not Ignite. Ignite one started Monday.
This when you had the protein bar, you remember? But
Yes,
that was
yes.
That was in the
I remember
afternoon, maybe.
I don't remember what that is. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gotta pick them up.
Yeah, I got it. That's kind of like that's,
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you.
not first of all, they started work.
You want it?
And then when I do start working, it's like, let's say it was a little bit on the side. I was working with a buyer, so I ended up social business.
Yes.
And that was like an all day thing. Like I sent the email last time. So that was like, yeah, it was super long day.
For me right now, it's like a here and but we always marketing stuff like this sort of this and you know how with anything on the internet, you know, so unraveling it, whatever. Okay, I feel like.
So I'm just playing around there like edge.
And just, you know, my husband, and before I started as I was sending out these emails and I do all the stuff on Facebook and he's like, oh my God,
And I have no idea who she is.
what, you can make my job easier.
Yeah, that's all people.
And I asked him 2 or 3 times, I'm like,
So how do you get that?
is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, besides actually working with buyers, I'm going to be there to be